Hi, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel where I talk about my journey to sustainable health and meaningful success. If you're coming back and you've already subscribed, welcome back. Y'all are my people and I love you so much. And honestly, thank you so much for tuning in every week, twice a week, watching my videos. Even if you're not in this exact life stage, I appreciate that you comment and share your love and support in the comments because you guys, honestly, you guys keep me together a lot of the time. So thank you for being my squad. And if you're new, I hope you'll consider subscribing by the end of this video and join the squad. We do generally have a good time here. So today we're talking about what to do when you're not okay. And I'm going to give you 3 tips and a bonus tip at the end. So 3 steps and a bonus tip. But before I jump into that, I want to first of all, disclaim that I'm not a mental or mental health professional, and that none of my advice should be taken as professional advice. It's just from a friend to a friend. And also, I wanted to just ask your permission that we just have a conversation in this video. I'm not trying to edit it a lot because it's kind of heavy topic, and I just want it to be authentic and as unedited as possible. So it's not going to be some like peppy, short, jump, 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 bam, 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 tips, you're done, now your life is perfect kind of video. This is like, I'm still processing a lot of this, and so just please bear with me and stick around to the end. So anyway, a year ago, this week will have been like the 1 year mark of when I realized that I was not okay. And if you're familiar with my story, you already know. If you're not familiar with my story, I was in a multi-level marketing company. I was in Amway, and that was a very cult-like culture, and I was drained physically, emotionally, financially, everything. And I went to my hairstylist to get a haircut, and she found a bald spot on the back of my head. And that was cause for a lot of worry. I sent my upline a message a year ago saying, hey, realizing that I'm losing hair on the back of my head, I'm also having a lot of hormone issues because I have PCOS, and my mouth is breaking out in this weird rash type thing, and I don't know what it is because it's not an STD. And I'm going to need to go to the doctor eventually because I don't know what this is, but that will cause further financial stress on me. Just wanted to give you a heads up. And also, I'm just really emotionally stressed. And I just wanted to let you know, I'm about to walk into our weekly meeting, and I'm going to hold it together, and I'm going to be okay. But just know that I'm not okay, and this is what my day has been. And she responded something like, I'll pray for you, and also like, yeah, we can definitely work out your finances. Should you schedule any doctor's appointments, we can do some budgeting sessions. But honestly, it doesn't matter what a doctor says or what anybody in your family has gone through, like what your medical history is. Just give it to God and He'll handle it. And so that was when I realized that I didn't really have anybody in my corner. When I was in business, I didn't have anybody in the business group who was really in my corner and looking out for my best interests. And that was when I started really deeply considering that I needed to take a full break from Amway. And you can check out my other Amway videos because the situation is so messed up. But that was the catalyst to me sitting here today before you. I realized that I was not okay, and I acknowledged it. So the first step to handling when you're not okay is to acknowledge that you're not okay. Don't try to suffer in silence. Honor the pain. But also know that there is no honor simply in pain. That there is no honor that's inherent in pain. The glory comes when you survive and overcome what you're going through. So to suffer in silence, you're not a hero to do that. Acknowledge that you're not okay. You don't necessarily need to know why you're not okay yet. Just know that you're not okay and acknowledge it to yourself. And don't try to like push the emotions down or anything like that. You're actually hurting yourself by denying your actual like current experience. You're denying yourself of help, but you're also withdrawing and withholding your best self from the people around you. You cannot possibly offer the best that you have to offer to the people around you when you yourself are not okay. So you're actually doing a disservice to people. You're not a hero for denying that you're not okay. You know what I mean? I think I made my point. So acknowledge that you're not okay. The second step is to identify who's in your corner. For me, a year ago, I reached out to my upline. I was vulnerable. I told them exactly what was going on, and they responded with indifference. They responded with, God will take care of it. You just keep doing you. And that was when I realized that those people were not in my corner. And I reached out to my mom, who is in my corner and was in my corner, and realized that I didn't have to do this alone. I didn't have to go through any of this alone. But I needed to identify who was actually really with me. I needed to find my ride or dies at that moment. And in several other times in the past, like when I was, and I've talked about all of this on my channel, I'll link all the videos, or as I talk about them, I'll link them somewhere, you can check them out. But when I was in the depths of my depression in my university and like suicidal thoughts, I had already had a fire in my apartment. I had a bunch of chemical just laying on a thick layer of chemical on all of my belongings, because that was what the fire department had spread over all of my belongings. So I was living in this single apartment, like single person apartment, by myself, binge eating, working late nights, sleeping basically in a pile of chemical, eating out because my entire kitchen was like destroyed, and literally I could not get myself together, and I did not see anybody who was in my corner. And that was from a lot of just like things that I was trying to figure out mentally. I honestly just didn't think I had anybody. So I called a hotline, and then I started to apply for ministries that had like inpatient programs to help them recover and rehabilitate. And also a friend of mine who realized that I really was not okay came over to my apartment, and without judgment, she helped me clean my apartment. And that's really significant, because I honestly didn't think I had any friends at that university, and the fact that I did have a friend, that's real friendship, by the way. That's someone who's actually in your corner. It's not the people who say that they're your friends, and then the moment that you're in pain or you actually have a problem or you actually have a request from them, they're no longer there. It's the people who, even when you don't ask them, they identify that you're really in pain or you're really in need, and they take action. And you can tell your friends by their actions. But yeah, she came and helped me clean my apartment and take out all of my garbage and clean up all the empty pizza boxes from my binges, and she didn't judge me at all for that. Even just recently when I was not okay, I don't think anybody really is okay at the moment. Or if you are okay, I don't want to say you shouldn't be okay. I'm just saying the world is going through a lot right now, and generally if you're in tune to that, you've experienced not being okay. And while I don't suffer at all nearly as much as the people who have suffered due to the pandemic or from systemic or individual racism, I certainly had a moment where I'm like, I'm not okay. I'm mentally and emotionally processing a lot, and it's just not okay. I feel like I'm trying to run a marathon at 350 pounds. Like, I feel like I'm just not conditioned for this, and this is all new to me, and this is just, I'm not conditioned enough for this. And that doesn't necessarily mean that my suffering is greater. In fact, I think my suffering is much less, but I'm like, I have lived in so much luxury and so much privilege for so long that realizing that other people are hurting and then having to take that on emotionally, to have to process that mentally and emotionally, was very taxing. It was very strenuous. And then realizing that it's like, well, in order to make sustainable change, in order to actually handle this, I can't do this alone. And I know that I don't have all of the resources that I need in order to start making a change for the better, in myself and then also in my community. So the person who was in my corner most through that was my best friend. Not only is she, she has a degree in psychology, and her passion is social work and like inner city youth and all of that. She's also Latina, and she knows a lot of the issues surrounding the oppression that people of color suffer in the United States. And she's been gracious with me for our entire friendship, of me just being like not wanting to talk about anything because it's too political. And then she realized that it was like, okay, at that point, she could educate me, but also like help me process that the fact that I was having a hard time mentally processing everything going on in the world is a normal thing, and that I'm not alone in that. And that also I'm not expected to change every single thing about myself and every single thing about the system in a day, but that I can just take it step by step and break it up incrementally and have more sustainable health and meaningful success that way, by taking on the issues day by day, little by little. And that actually that really helped. Thank you, Itzel. That really helped. But the first step was to acknowledge that I wasn't okay and not feel like I had to be a hero or feel like my my pain or angst didn't matter enough to actually tell somebody, because it did matter, because I know that I have something valuable to offer, not only to you, my squad, my audience, my community, but also just the people that I have interaction with on a day-to-day basis. I was doing a disservice to them by trying to like hold it all in and deal with my emotions all by myself, when honestly, when that happens, you generally revert to old tendencies. You revert to old apathy or old mindset, and you don't actually grow or progress because you haven't taken the steps to kind of step outside of yourself and gain resources that you didn't necessarily have before. So in that way, acknowledging that even though as a person who is mostly white, partially Asian, but mostly white, that even I was not okay. And even I needed help, but by surrounding myself with people who were in my corner, I was actually able to become much more effective for myself and for my community. And the third step that I have, I'm trying not to ramble, I'm so sorry, but the third step that I have is to identify the why beneath the why. And not just look at the problem, but understand why that problem exists in the first place. For instance, I'm taking classes right now for becoming a health coach and a life coach. And we did an exercise with a partner, and my partner wanted to lose 15 pounds to fit into a bathing suit. That in and of itself was her presented problem, and that was her why, was to fit into that bathing suit. But when I asked her about the specific number of 15 pounds, why she wanted to lose that specific amount, she started talking about how when she was 15 pounds lighter, she was in a much better place mentally, and her family was in a much better place, and honestly, it just felt like she was successful because, she wanted to lose 15 pounds to regain that feeling of success and accomplishment that she can do something and follow through. All of this to say that from an outside perspective, I was able to identify that what she wanted was not just to fit into a bathing suit. She wanted to feel that same sense of stability and control and just success and just feeling of accomplishment that she had when she was 15 pounds lighter, but incidentally was actually really mentally unhealthy with regards to her weight. But she had that number, that weight, associated with an entire feeling of stability and control and success, that when you actually dissect it with an outsider's perspective, you can actually identify the real reason why you're not okay. And you can then more effectively address that issue and get through that issue. So that's kind of like, that's why you need to identify who's in your corner, because then you identify who's going to help you see outside yourself or have more resources that you yourself don't have, so that you can actually address why you're not okay. For some things, you're not going to be okay for a while. It's going to be a season, and it's not something that you can just immediately address. I talked a little bit about this in my 5 tips to sustainable happiness, but basically, like, if it matters, let it matter. That's a Johnnyswim song, Let It Matter. And sometimes, like, the best thing to do is, the best way to get over it is to go through it. And in those cases, you don't necessarily know how long that season is going to be and how long it's going to hurt. When I had my miscarriage, there's no time limit that you can put on grief. But know that there is another side, that there is another season, and the best way to get over it is to just go through it. But continue going through it. Continue making progress. So those are my 3 steps. Acknowledge that you're not okay. Identify who's in your corner. And then find the why beneath the why, so that you can actually effectively address why you're not okay. The bonus tip is just something that I am doing right now to address my current health state. And that is, I'm getting more sleep. And the smaller tip, the actual action step behind that, is I'm having a power down hour, the hour before I go to bed. So I'm turning off my phone, I'm turning off my computer, I'm turning off my TV, and I am simply winding down. I'm powering down for that last hour of the day, so that I am getting more quality sleep. And I realized that throughout all of the major, huge, very not okay events in my life, I was never getting enough sleep. I wasn't getting enough sleep when I was working late nights and having nightmares when I was in university, and I was definitely not getting enough sleep when I was in Amway. That's why I had hair loss and hormone imbalance and blood sugar imbalance, and I was binge eating, and I was doing all of this, and that actually just narrows down to sleep. So sometimes the best work that we can do on ourselves is when we're unconscious. And I would suggest that that's where you start today. If all of the things that I've talked about is just super overwhelming, just turn off your TV an hour before you intend to go to bed and just have a little bit more stability in your sleep schedule, and you might actually see the mental clarity and physical wellness that seems like a mountain, but really just getting a couple extra Z's might actually really help you. So anyway, I hope that my mental processing of all the things that is happening currently today, but also everything that happened last year, and the fact that this is the year mark of when all of that happened, thank you for letting me process that. I hope that that helped you as well in some way. Like this video if you like it. Comment if you have any constructive things to say. I really do appreciate everybody who comments. Share it if you think it's relevant. And subscribe, okay? Just join the squad. I think we're almost at 300 subscribers. Isn't that crazy? That's insane. Thank you guys. Y'all are the realest. Okay. Bye.